Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make New Haven tick. You know, something that really makes New Haven tick is New Haven Promise, going strong in its 15th, I guess, end of its 14th year. Am I doing the math right? I don't think I would have gotten a Promise scholarship with math like that. But New Haven Promise makes sure that every kid who's on the stick and goes to New Haven Public School can go to college. And what a difference it's already made for a generation. Matter of fact, it's such a part of our city now. We don't even talk about it as much sometimes in everyday conversation. That's why you're here. So, I'm not here. But in any case, we have here some of the people behind New Haven Promise. Patricia Melton, who's been running the joint for 13 years now, and two people are helping her do the work with the kids and with the institutions who help the kids. Casey Gargano and Frankie Ramon. Thanks, folks, for coming in.
Thank you.
The New Haven Promise checkup. So how are things going, Patricia? How is New Haven Promise doing these days?
Well, we're motoring along, as you said. We're in our 14th year, and we've fully expanded. You know, most people knew us initially as a scholarship program, but as you know, we have three major programming components. We work with the public schools to make sure that students are motivated and doing the things they need to do to be prepared for college and life. We then support our students while they're in college to make sure that they're finishing college, getting their degrees, and building their resumes so they can then come back to New Haven and launch their career in civic lives. And 86% of our alums do. In other words, everyone comes back. So we are here.
It's really, again, is another just counter narrative. I mean, when Patricia first came here and people talked about New Haven and kids going to college, they didn't come back. I mean,
really, I think they did, but maybe folks weren't talking about that. So I certainly don't attribute it to what we're doing solely.
Well, New Haven's changed too. There are more jobs here than there used to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so just to remember what you have to do when you go through New Haven Public Schools to qualify for scholarships, you could be able to college. You have to get a C average, is it?
A B average.
A B average. You have to go to
40
New Haven
hours
Public
of
School.
Community service. So you have to do your sweat equity, right? You have to contribute.
And you have to show up to school.
You have to show up to school. So, obviously you can't learn and prepare for life if you're not in school. So a 90% attendance rate, which means no more than missing 18 days a year, 72 days over your high school career. These are all metrics that help you to prepare for, living your best life.
Although that got a little tough with COVID, right? Because a lot of people missed school in COVID, right?
Yeah, what we did was we worked with the school district and we worked with students. We had slightly lower numbers, but that was because students were taking a year off, because not only were we in COVID, the entire world was in COVID. And that meant that students, there were students who knew, I don't want to learn online. I don't want to be separated. So they took a year off. But those numbers are starting to come back. We're not where we were pre-COVID because of the lingering impact. There was a lot of death from frontline workers that impacted our community here and communities all over the country and the world. So we are working to really help those families to get students encouraged. But even then, as you know, there's a lot that has changed, from hybrid working to the death of affirmative action. There's a lot that's changed even in those 4 years.
And in a good way, a lot's changed in the way you've built partnerships with more schools and more funders and more people who hire for summer jobs. I mean, New Haven Promise has become a part of the city, like the city government, like Yale New Haven Hospital, like New Haven Promise, the Community Foundation. And how many people from New Haven Public Schools each year then get the scholarship? It's a scholarship that pays for your full college ride at certain schools, right?
It's not a full ride. What we say is we make college affordable, not free. That's the way it's always been. So we're very clear about who pays for what. And so this year, Frankie, what were the numbers?
So in 2024, we awarded 246 New Haven Promise scholarships. which included our folks that are attending our HBCU schools.
Which is one of the additions when you got this like agreements, right, where scholarships would apply to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities.
Yes, that's the Pennington Scholarship,
Yeah.
and that came from the Yale and Slavery Working Group that is funded by Yale. So we currently have 20 students at HBCUs. Now that has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And those students each get $20,000 apiece, $80,000 out over 4 years, and there is what we call leverage scholarship. This is guaranteed scholarship that the college is bringing, and in some cases it goes to 120,000. So that's really made the
And what is
HBC
tuition at those schools, Patricia?
Morgan State is public, so it's probably more like 30, similar to UConn, 36. But then you have the privates like Hampton, Howard, and those are probably upwards of 50, 55.
So if a student gets a $20,000 scholarship, there are other scholarships available?
There has to be. Most of our families are 70% under 60,000, so they absolutely will need additional aid. They will mostly, if you're under 60, you get Pell. You fill out FAFSA, so you'll get about 8,000. So that's the federal. And then these private colleges also bring a good amount of their own dollars to the table for financial aid.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Mm-hmm. So you're listening to New Haven Promises, folks, talking to us on Dateline New Haven and WNHH-FM. So one piece of information, I've been so impressed to watch you over the year, Patricia. I've been to some of your sessions before summer starts, when you bring the employers from town who all show up. And they come to some room where they meet the kids who are in New Haven Promise. You get them summer jobs. And Casey Gargano, you're the talent manager, and you're in charge of that, right? Hands-on about the people get the internships. How many New Haven scholars had internships this past summer?
Yes, we are so proud to share that this summer alone, we had 137 interns that were New Haven Promise scholars working with our partners within the New Haven community. However, some of those continued their internships into the fall semester. So we have about 11 placements in fall internships. And so in total, we have about 160 placements so far in 2024. And that number continues to grow every day with our full-time hires and new opportunities that we get in from our community partners.
These are paid internships, right?
Always paid. And so it's really important for us that our scholars have this opportunity to continue to receive payment over the summer. Our interns make anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000 throughout the summer, and that's money in their pocket that they can use throughout the school year. And in total, we've had over $1 million in total earnings across the summer.
What impressed me when Patricia started doing this years ago was how it was good for the companies, because there was a problem finding talented people to be able to grow businesses here in biotech and healthcare, even at the Yale Police. I remember the Yale Police chief coming in and trying to sell people on working there. And the role plays for the kids, privileged kids get these internships often, unpaid. Their parents can afford it, and they get started on a career. And you're really starting these kids on careers, which is...
Absolutely. They're learning those in-demand skills throughout the summer. And like you said, connecting them to employers that need talented workers to join them. And the goal is for our students to start out as interns, then hopefully convert to full-time employees upon graduation. And so really creating that cycle as early as freshman year. We actually had 2 of our incoming freshmen join us for internships this summer, so we were really proud to be able to provide that opportunity.
So what are some of the jobs, and where are these people working?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our partnerships is with Climate Haven, which I know is an up-and-coming startup in our New Haven community.
Oh, yeah, that's sort of Yale, but it's on Lower Chapel Street, where they're doing hatching tech businesses that are going to try to address climate change,
Absolutely.
greener planet.
Yes.
What were they doing there?
Yeah, so they were working as operations fellow, and what was really great to hear from the supervisor, they shared that our summer intern this year really set the standard, and unfortunately, they go back to school, and so they're looking for their next hire, and we recently just placed their next operations fellow there, but their supervisor shared, during that downtime where they didn't have one, they were like, I was so lost, because, they really set the bar high and supported them throughout the summer.
What does an operation manager do? Make sure the joint runs?
Yeah, so supporting them with events that they host, logistical operations. So our student was actually a computer science major, and I know part of that was, helping with technology as well, AV systems, and really just getting that hands-on experience, setting up meetings and scheduling as well.
And tell me about some other jobs people got. Like I'm assuming Yale, New Haven, and
Yes.
101 College and that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So
Lexion.
a majority of our students do intern with Yale. We had 84 interns at Yale University this summer. And those range from working with Yale Finance, getting hands-on experience, reviewing invoices, working in their database systems. Some of our scholars over at the museums, which range from, art-specific roles, working in exhibitions, but also IT. So one of our scholars got to work on creating a website database for their different exhibits, which was really exciting, as well as our data intern over at the art gallery. He was working on tracking folks that went to their website and seeing where folks are coming from all over to create this data visualization. So they're really getting
Interesting.
hands-on experiences
Yeah.
with using databases, softwares, building their communication skills. So a lot of our scholars will have a final presentation where they share with their department, and I always get invited to them, which is a really exciting opportunity to hear firsthand from our scholars what they're learning. But they get those presentation skills and public speaking, which is also really important to supporting our interns with learning, professionalism.
Do the interns themselves form a community? Do they get together?
Absolutely. So this summer, I implemented different group chats with our interns based on their cohort models, which I think was really effective. I love seeing them write, let's get lunch, let's meet here, or let's go to this event together, which was really great. But we host events such as National Intern Day in collaboration with the Yale New Haven Hiring Initiative. And that was an incredible event where we got all of our interns in one space. They heard from keynote speakers. We also had a Promise alum panel talk about their experiences as Promise scholars and their career trajectories. And so that was really meaningful, where they all got to get together and celebrate their time as interns.
I did want to ask you about that larger cohort of people who've been through Promise, and I noticed that you keep up with them.
Absolutely.
So the number I saw was that you have 850 college students and 1,400 alumni who have been through the program, that you're keeping track of the college students now while they're there.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they leave and they come back, tell me about that. How do they connect other people to jobs? Do they help people get through college?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Our alum really serve as a resource to us because they have those valuable experiences and also share similar lived experiences with our scholars. And so we have upcoming career panels where it'll be solely comprised of alum sharing their experiences, how they've utilized New Haven Promise resources when they were in undergrad and where they are now. We also have LinkedIn groups where our alum can share upcoming opportunities and also serve as a referral source. So, for example, we had a scholar who was interested in working at Electric Boat, and we have a Promise alum that now works there. And so he was able to share a referral link for the organization after they met, learned more about our scholars' interests and their pursuits. And then we also have alum that I set up individual meetings or even group meetings to learn more about a role that they are currently holding or with the company that they want to that they currently work at or previously worked at, to share those insights with our scholars that may be interviewing there. So it's really connected work, and our alum are so gracious and excited to connect with our scholars because they were in their shoes once and are really looking forward to giving back.
Casey, did you grow up in New Haven?
I did. I'm a New Haven Promise scholar.
I was just going to ask you. So I saw you went to UConn. You studied economics and urban studies. Then you got a master's in student administration at Ball State University.
Mm-hmm.
So you're one of those 86%.
Absolutely.
Ball State's not in. Where is Ball State?
That's in Muncie, Indiana.
What was that like?
It was very interesting. My first job out of college, I was a traveling consultant for my sorority. So I visited different universities across the U.S. and Canada. And I kept hearing advisors that I would meet with on the college campus, and they would share that they went to Ball State. And I was like, okay, well, they all have jobs now. I want a job. Let me go to grad school here. But it was very unique in the sense of, different landscape, political landscape for sure, going from New Haven there. I was a graduate assistant in the Multicultural Center. And so, it really reinforced my career goals as it relates to supporting first generation low income students. And so it was a really great opportunity for me to learn more about creating programming that supports, students of color, LGBTQI plus students, first gen, I got to teach a first year seminar class, which was really exciting. And I think it was really helpful in building my foundation here at Promise to be able to say, like, these are some programs that I previously ran that our students really enjoyed. And now I have the opportunity to do that here. So, yeah.
Where'd you go to high school here?
I went to Wilbercross.
How was that?
Yeah, that was a great experience. They challenging with AP courses, honors courses.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2015.
All right.
Yeah.
And now you're back. So
and now I'm back.
And what brought you back?
Honestly, like I like being close to home. Family's here, but really it feels like home. I think coming to New Haven Promise just felt right. You usually have those first day jitters when you come to a job or come to interviews, but as soon as I sat down with Patricia and the team, like I just felt at home. It didn't feel like I was really in an interview. And even the first day, like I automatically just felt part of the team. And that's the affiliation and association, I think, with Promise that, I knew this just sliding right in. Like it felt like a really great fit.
Patricia, over the years, I've noticed that people you've worked with come back and work for you. Is that a priority for you?
It is a priority. So right now we have one person working for us, but we have a couple of open positions. We're going to be looking for a director of development, a communications / alumni relations job, and a couple of others. I mean, our work just keeps expanding. We're involved with a couple of we took on the Pennington, which is great, but one of the other things that we're going to be partnering with is the school district, Yale Southern, for the Yale Teaching Fellowship, which is going to pay a stipend as well as the tuition for those interested in going into education, paraprofessionals who are already working in the school system there in New Haven Public Schools, but also others in hard to staff certification areas.
So it's a fellowship to get certification.
Yes, and we will start that process. We're building out all the systems and the platforms now. There will be an announcement on that in early October. Hopefully, I haven't let too much out the bag, but I'm promoting it a little bit.
We'll fill in the rest. Just make it up AI. People believe it. We'll have a deep fake. We'll have the people getting their certificates and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there will be a big announcement that will have the Yale president, the superintendent, and whatnot in mid-October.
All right.
So that's where you'll learn a lot more.
We're talking about New Haven Promise. Keeps growing, expanding the way they're helping young people become successful members of our community and get a good education at WNHA Dateline New Haven. So now you got the kids who are in school. Frankie Roman, your K-12 manager.
Yes.
That means you're while Casey's working with the people who are in college and beyond, you're working with the kids who are in school and hoping they can get there to get the college scholarship. Am I correct?
Yes, that is.
So what do you do day to day to make that happen?
So I'm the K-12 manager. I'm coming up to speed in my role.
You new?
Yes.
When did you start?
July 1st.
Congrats.
Thank you. So my role is to, again, engage the students in the district. So I think my biggest goal now is to work on that engagement piece, work on, those touch points with students, building those relationships.
So how do you find out, like, here's a kid who could use a little help to make sure they get that B average, they get their 40 hours, and how do you find the kids to work with?
I think that the important piece here is working very closely with the school counselors at the school level, working very closely with them, understanding like where are we with our.
So you go and meet with these counselors,
of course,
who are
yeah.
incredibly overworked, right?
Yeah.
I remember when my kids were across, it's like you get like 2 minutes if you're lucky when there are 100 kids waiting for each counselor.
Yeah, yeah. So my goal and the mission for me is to, again, support the district, support the school counselors, and making sure that we get, higher applicants to apply for New Haven Promise.
How many people do apply, Patricia?
Well, in any 1 year, roughly about between 550, 600 students, which is half the senior class. So that's a pretty big number. What we've already started doing all sorts of looking at the data, and what we know is we follow these students. We follow both the students who get the scholarship and those who attempted to get the scholarship, because those who are attempting are still going to go to college. So we get information from this center called the National Student Clearinghouse that tracks all students who are enrolled in colleges throughout the U.S. And what we see is for those applicants who actually even attempt to apply to get the scholarship, whether they get it or not, they finish at a much higher rate in terms of going to college and finishing college. So it's, again, we work with the school district. Frankie will be doing assemblies. He will be in the schools. He works directly with the students to make sure that they understand what they can do, what they're doing now, which is showing up, going to school. If they need help, getting that tutoring. There's a citywide tutoring initiative. So really making use of all the resources that are absolutely already there. So that's what Frankie will be doing. And he will be working probably more closely, specifically, maybe Frankie, you can talk about the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. Why is that a focus?
Before we get to that, so about half the people who apply, a little under half, actually get the scholarship?
Yes, get our scholarship. They're getting other scholarships.
Right.
Like they're probably getting federal aid. If they're under 60,000, they're getting Pell grants.
But close to half do get the $20,000 a year and get into your network.
Yes. They become Promise Scholars. Okay. And those who don't, they're getting other scholarship dollars. So there's sort of a spillover effect as well. And
so, Frankie, Patricia was just saying that you start working with the kids as early as 7th and 8th grade. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So right now the focus is getting them as early as 7th grade. And the reason why is we want to seed plant very early. We seed plant by, working with the district again and the school level, right? The individual schools to plan like career fairs. And we use that metric as a career exploration, getting their minds.
You do middle school career fairs.
Yeah, middle school, working with the school counselors, whoever is a part of career readiness, and then transitioning into the next phase, which is high school. So those early touch points, those early seed planting of let's do career fairs. Let's see what you want to do. Let's see what you're interested in. Let's see what you're not interested in. Even, having and hosting college fairs, seeing, what is their interest? Where do they want to go?
And are the college fairs for high school kids?
Yeah. So high school kids, we can do it as early as middle school. So again, working with school counselors and focusing on those different metrics.
Have you met any kid yet comes to mind who you're helping, that you heard a story that impressed you, interested you in what you could do in this job?
Yeah. So over the summer, when I started in July, the district they piloted a summer bridge program.
Oh, right.
So myself and Nellie, who leads our community service initiatives, we attended those. So we did them at Metro, we did them at Co-op, Cross. So we were able to, again, meet students, talk to them very early. So those were their incoming freshman 9th grade class. So we were able to connect with them, talk to them about Promise, talk to them why it's important, talk to them about how Promise can help them alleviate the costs of college, talking to them about the importance of staying in state. We talked to them about our different partners like UConn, Eastern, Southern, that will, match, give money to them because they're New Haven Promise Scholars.
And how much does UConn and Southern and Eastern come through? Do they make the rest of it up, or usually?
They make quite a bit. So this card here that Frankie has is, as you see, it's a postcard. It's very youth friendly, so that both families and students can see how much is Promise going to give. So Promise gives up to $15,000 a year, and they get an additional $5,000. So they're walking through the door with $20,000. If they're Pell, they're going to get, other monies, and then they usually get, this is minimally what they're getting. So one of our newest partners is University of Bridgeport. We doubled our contribution for privates. We doubled it from $2,500 to $5,000, and University of Bridgeport is going to bring $25,000. But also Alberta's, Quinnipiac, and University of New Haven brings $25,000. This is stuff that folks are, particularly in these inflationary times, they're looking and saying, okay, that's $120,000. This is, as we like to say, Promise is your scholarship to lose. Our board, which consists of, representatives from Yale, the colleges, and the business community foundation, they vote every June to fund the high school graduating class in 4 years, that ninth grade class coming in. So in this case, it was the class of 2028 high school graduating for 4 years of college. That's a pretty strong commitment. And I think that is important for them to do that, to say, we believe in you. We're coming now. You do your part with your families and with our partners.
So, Frank, you grew up in New Haven?
I did not.
Where'd you grow up? Oh, you said Hartford. You told me that.
Yeah, I grew up in Hartford.
And you studied criminal justice at UNH.
Yes, I did.
So how did you go from there to here?
So I think the one thing that I can appreciate about UNH is they make you do electives outside of your major. And they use that also
That's interesting.
They make you do electives outside of your major. And that's just, again, a career metric to make sure, like, is it really what you want to do is what you're studying. So I identified, I think my sophomore or junior year, that maybe criminal justice wasn't what I wanted to do. So I did a lot of youth development courses at UNH, child development courses at UNH. So I knew very, by my junior year, like, I want to focus on youth development. I want to focus on child development. So I started taking more courses. I applied a minor in youth development. So yeah, that's how I went from criminal justice and into what I'm doing now. And yeah, my journey has been, it started 5 years ago at LEAP. So I did.
Yeah, what'd you do at LEAP?
I was the counselor development manager. So I was the manager of the department that led the hiring initiatives around working with high school students, college students.
So you've already worked with this group.
Yeah.
You've been around. You know the high school kids in New Haven.
Yeah. So
you know what it's like to be a high school kid. Because that's what I really wanted to ask you guys about, what it's like now to be a high school kid or a college student or recent graduate. What's it like nowadays? What are you facing? What kind of special help you need that might be a little different from what it was like when this program started?
Yeah. So I think we go all weigh in, but I think from my experience, the biggest thing is the challenge of what we lost in the pandemic.
This thing, we're still dealing with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
having students understand that post-secondary education is important. Having them understand that, yes, you can be a social media influencer, but that is not going to be your end-all be-all. So I think, we're still trying to...
You might get some swag short term.
Yeah.
But it doesn't pay the rent, and it won't pay that car note and the insurance. And
yeah. So I think that my experience, in working at LEAP and now my mission at Promise is just, again, on a broader and bigger spectrum, making sure that we are developing those youth and developing those high school students to understand, like, why college is important, why should you go, and, understanding that everyone needs a plan. Everyone needs a plan. Everyone needs a backup plan. So, yeah.
And let me ask Casey and Patricia if you've noticed any evolution in terms of special challenges, special opportunities for kids now that might be a little different from 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think Patricia mentioned kind of the changing landscape going from being fully in person, then COVID, virtual, now kind of this hybrid environment. And it's really important for us that we adapt to those shifting environments to share. When we do our internship orientations, we talk about what does working in a hybrid environment look like and what are your expectations. That means turning on your camera, being fully functioning, being involved in the meeting, maybe coming to the meeting 5 minutes earlier to start building that rapport with your team. What did you do on the weekend? And starting to really build that professional network in any way that we can. But we also implement our weekly Lunch and Learn series where we talk about professional development topics that impact our scholars. And so we incorporated AI this year into our series where we had a representative who talked about how students can utilize AI in their career searches, or even just kind of bringing in general understanding of the different platforms such as like ChatGPT and Gemini and all that, because it's going to be a prevalent part of our use of technology in the future. We also talked about workplace culture, utilizing LinkedIn, resumes, all that good stuff. But this year we also brought back our Pachacha public speaking competition. And so we had a group of about 7 scholars who signed up to be part of this additional professional development where they engaged in a storytelling workshop. They learned what makes a successful presentation. And then they courageously presented into an audience of about 120 folks at our farewell breakfast. And so this was a really great opportunity for them to adhere to a specific presentation structure where they only had 20 seconds to speak on their slides, and so they created this about 7-minute presentation about their internship. And it was just really great to see their growth from the beginning, where they kind of just signed up to see what it was. They gained these skills, and then they went up there and they really rocked the presentations. And so I was really proud of that. And we're super excited to continue this opportunity in the future as well. Because students are used to, talking in their phones and texting and, emailing, and versus having that in-person communication. So we really want to make sure that our students are set up for success when they either take on an internship or especially their first time, their full-time role when they graduate.
Yeah, and then the other thing, again, we've had to adapt and pivot. So we used to do everything in person, and we don't do it in person. In fact, Casey has a wonderful event that's tomorrow that allows all of our students, regardless of where they are, to participate. Maybe you can share what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're having our first ever fall virtual internship fair. And this was designed primarily because we have some companies that we partner with that recruit solely in the fall semester for their summer internships. And we want to get ahead of those recruiting timelines to make sure we have increased opportunities for our scholars. So we have 9 businesses represented tomorrow, with about 22 different roles available, both internships and full-time positions. And we're excited to have 80 scholars that have registered to participate in that. And majority of them are our first year scholars. So they're super excited to start diving
so there's
right
going to be
into
an earlier than ever
Yes.
jump in to get looking for the summer, because you usually do it in the spring, right?
So we're
yes,
still
we
gonna
usually do it in January.
Okay.
And we'll still have our January fair as well, for those spring recruiting companies. But this is just to get ahead with some of those few companies that recruit in the fall.
And what are those companies, if you don't mind
Yeah,
sharing?
absolutely. So we have Avangrid, Gilbane Construction, Turner Construction, Travelers, Medtronic, Yale Conferences and Events, Yale New Haven Hiring Initiative, and folks that recruit for our Yale IT and finance roles.
And Teach for America.
And Teach for
Let's
America.
not forget
Patricia,
those
do
teachers.
you remember when you used to be able to have that much information in your head without having to look down and read it?
Yes.
I remember remembering that much. It's pretty impressive. Patricia, anything else strike you before we go about when you went to college, when you started at Promise 14 years ago? What strikes you as different for a young person now in high school and college?
Again, I would say that our young folks are different. They curate their experiences. And so
Yeah.
we have to meet them where they are. They're much more selected. They're much more sophisticated. They're much more plugged in. And so the programming, we have to engage. We have to stay fresh. We have to have something to offer because we're not the only game in town. And so we have to compete even for that attention with our scholars. But I think we've been doing a good job bringing on, young folks who are maybe just coming 5 or 7 years into their career. They're able to give back and to bring fresh ideas. So I couldn't be more pleased to have Casey, who's a New Haven Promise Scholar, Frankie, who is coming from LEAP. I mean, all of these, the skills and talents of this new sort of additional group will help us to achieve more impact in our
I
city.
think you're doing a great job, and you're a
Thank
long
you
distance
so
runner.
much.
Did you used to sprint when you were younger? What'd you run?
Yes, I was a sprinter and a hurdler.
But now you're a long distance runner.
Well, no,
Community leader,
no,
14? No, I meant metaphorically.
I bike. I do biking. So
No, I meant metaphorically.
Metaphorically.
You're the long distance runner. You've been 14 years and going
Yes.
strong.
This is the longest job that I've had by about 10 years.
And I think it's great. You're definitely one of the leaders in our community doing a great job.
Yeah, John DeStefano challenged me. He said when I first got here, you have to really think about legacy, building legacy. And I was like, legacy? What? But now I've had a milestone birthday where I get a discount in all 50 states. So I'm saying, well, maybe I do need to think about legacy.
I like that discount, by the way.
I do too. It's benefits. Yes, it has its benefits.
It's not all downside.
Membership has its privileges, doesn't it?
Well, anyway, thanks so much for joining us, Patricia Melton, Casey Gargano, Frank Romano. It was great to meet the two of you. Great to revisit with you.
Thank
Thanks
you
to
for
Harry
having
Joe
us.
sponsors. And keep up the good work. Make an
Thank you
opportunity
so
and fulfilling
much.
promise for people in New Haven. New Haven Promise. Is it newhavenpromise.org? People get the...
Yes, newhavenpromise.org. And we're about to unveil, hopefully in the next month, a wonderful website that will just be wonderful with all of our different programming and offerings.
All
So
right.
thank you.
And we're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Feel to Be Free. Nina Simone fans will recognize the original. Until next time, there's Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night on WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.